Good morning, everyone. It's so good to see you. It's been a long time. As many of you have seen from my notifications on Instagram, I came back from Missouri at the end of April and promptly caught a bad cold, which was over reasonably quickly, but left me with a lingering cough. And so I hadn't been able to talk until this weekend. I've been very excited to do Flosstube this weekend. And then we had a little extra excitement last night. My son had to go to the ER and he's fine, but they had to do quite a bit of testing that took all night. So I'm experiencing the I haven't slept euphoria, and I really wanted to get this chance to chat with you, but I'm fairly certain that after this I'm gonna need a nap or just all the coffee or all the coffee and a nap. So anyway, I'm gonna launch right in. First with Stitching in Action, we have 2 submissions today, and Elaine has stitched Tudor Swan with all of the called for fabric and floss. And if you look very, very closely, I'm not sure if the picture will show it well, it looks like she put the tiniest initials and year on the bottom right-hand corner of this one. I'm not even 100% sure that's what they are, but that's what they look like, and it's just incredibly small. But what a great way to sneak that in so that it's always marked for you, especially on a soft finish where you don't have, a note on the back that you can easily put that into. So thank you, Elaine, for sharing that. Next up, Patty has stitched Seasons of the Heart Winter. This is a gift for a friend of hers who's living in England, and I love the way it's been finished. The finishing was done by Alyssa at Starry Night Finishing in Arizona. So very lovely job, Alyssa and Patty. Thank you for sharing that. As always, if you're stitching a blue flower design, go ahead and shoot me an email with a photo so that I can share it on Flosstube and on the website. And then if someone else is stitching a pattern and they want some ideas about finishing or fabric choices, anything like that, they can take a look and be inspired by what you've done. So thank you, Elaine and Patty, for sharing. On to what I'm stitching. I have reached the point in the Pilsner Memorial Sampler, which is Marianne Mitton from Merrywind Farm, adjusted for Pilsner, where it's gotten a little bit too big for me to hold it up. So I'm going to put a photograph in of my progress so far. I've got all the lettering in and working around the bottom of the border. I have been a little bit lured this month with May, a lot of people doing wonderful new starts, and that is so fun to see, and I want to do new starts. But every time I contemplate it, I think of Pilsner and how much he loved it. It was his favorite thing to have a person's complete and undivided attention all about him, even if it was just for 5 minutes. So I am continuing to give Pilsner my complete and undivided attention when it comes to personal stitching for his memorial, and I'm really pleased with the way it's coming out. I'm excited to make more progress over the next month than I have been able to over the past month. So that's what I'm stitching. Next, Stash Spotlight. As regular viewers may know, I was at Quilter Station at the end of April for their retreat, and I'll talk a little bit more about that later. But my stash comes from the fabulous store at Quilter Station. So I picked up a variety of cotton and lovely wool threads. You can see some of my favorite green colors in there. One of the reasons that I picked this up particularly was because of this fabric here. And it's a little bit hard to see, but I was working on a design and really wanted something that had sort of orangey coral tones plus a little bit of taupe. And I came across that fabric and then picked up several other coordinating fabrics, and I love the way they go together, and they really helped me to work out sort of the colors that I was needing for a design. And actually, that's one of the things I wanted to talk about briefly. One of the most common questions I'm asked is, how do you think up your designs? And very often it will come from a color. Sleeping Bee came from, particularly when I would walk the dogs in the middle of winter, right when you come into the entrance to the park, there are these very low kind of bluey purple juniper bushes, and I would see them every day and look at that color against the other winter colors in the landscape, and that's kind of how that started. I tend to do the same thing with fabric, which doesn't necessarily apply to all of you if you're not designing, but that's something people are curious about. What I will say though is if you're in a position where you're wanting to be drunk with power and change colors of something you're stitching, a piece of fabric can be a really good way to get an idea of what colors you like together and get a whole color scheme that you can work with. And as an example, I've got this piece of fabric here. It's an Alexander Henry fabric, and I actually have this in two colorways. I have the blue and a more purple color. But this is a great way to look at so many different colors and the way that they play together. And so if you are looking to go ahead and change a color palette for a stitch, but you're a little bit intimidated or don't really know where to start, something like a piece of fabric can really point you in the right direction and give you an idea, make it a little bit more manageable, especially the first time if you're trying to get started on that. So that's my stash spotlight. On to the world around. I almost completely threw out my notes and went with something very, very sleepy today to fit in with my theme, but I'm sticking to my guns and choosing the Kildeer, which is a pretty common bird for us here in North America, and it is technically sort of a water bird, but it is the driest of the water birds, I suppose, and that it's very likely to be found in places without much water, as our local park, which is usually where we see them. Every spring we get at least one pair of Kildeer nesting in the park and around, you know, in the rocks. They don't really make a nest, they just sort of lay their very well camouflaged eggs and then guard them. But they do something that you may have seen. They will pretend to be injured to try and lure you away from their nest if they think that you're a danger to the eggs and are getting too close, likely to maybe eat the eggs. Which, when I'm walking the dogs, they rightly view the dogs as a potential threat to those eggs. And so we very often get to see the display where, oh, I'm hurt, don't you want to follow me over away from this nest? And I have to say that Dunkel, our little dachshund mix, would very much love to be allowed to accept the invitation the Kildeer is offering him to follow. Although we don't do that, we just stay on the path and get out of the way of the nest as quickly as we can. I did learn when I was looking through this that Kildeer are very courageous. So in addition to trying to lure potential predators away, they will literally fight off anything that might just trample the eggs. So something like sheep, goats, horses, cows, even people, who they don't necessarily see as wanting to eat the eggs, but might just crush them through not being aware. And so their approach is different. They don't try to lure them away. They will stand over the nest, wings out, shrieking at the top of their lungs, even flying into the face of horses and cows to try and keep those eggs safe. They are tiny little birds when they're born, but they can run almost immediately. And so as soon as they're hatched, they get shuttled off to a safer place. Parents remove all the broken eggshells, and it's as though the nest just vanishes. So you get a brief moment where there are Kildeer eggs around. Just keep an eye out, you know, keep them safe. Don't put the parents through too much stress. They're working really hard. Okay, questions. My question for you is, since I'm doing my best sloth imitation, what's your favorite pick-me-up? I am about to go drink much more coffee than I've had yet so far today, and I'm looking forward to that. But what do you like when you need a little boost, a little afternoon snack, a little something to get you going, some music that really gets the blood flowing? What do you like to do? Okay, now on to the best things this video. There's a lot. First off, Quilter Station Retreat. I don't have the models for the Quilter Station, but I can show you a photograph of the project I designed. And it was a really fun project to design. This one came with 3 designs in it. There's a little biscornu, and it was my first ever biscornu finish. And I think it came out really well. So for all of you who haven't tried it yet, and I was one of you until about a month ago, it's not nearly as intimidating as I thought it would be. So that's comforting for me when I know something is not as hard as it seems. But it was a really fun design. I chose dogwoods because they're the state flowering tree of Missouri, where Quilter Station is located, and a bobwhite quail, again, to be a local thing. We had a beautiful fabric from Barbaral Creations called Skyfall, And we've got the 3 little designs in there, a long pillow, a big pillow with the quail and the bob whites, and that little dogwood biscornu. And in the kit also there were 3 absolutely lovely pins from Paola at Puntini Puntini. And yeah, it was a really, really wonderful experience. I got to talk to lovely stitchers, I got to spend time with several fabulous designers, and I got to go to Quilter Station, which is a wonderful fabric store. So very excited. I'm so glad I got to meet so many of you there. If you do like this spring quail pattern, it will be available through Quilter Station for the next year. So if you're interested, just get in touch with them and they'll be able to get that for you. All right, next things this video, I have 3 new releases. We're doing this a little bit backwards from the way we normally would because I've been unable to talk. So the models are actually not here, but all the information has gone up on Instagram and the website. And the charts are available in stores already, but I'm kind of backing up here. The models are currently at the Celebration of Needlework, and they'll be home soon, so I'm just using photographs. The first one of the new releases is called Animal Alphabet, and I've been wanting to do an alphabet for quite a while, but I finally got it done, and I'm really happy with the way it came out. I had a lot of fun doing all of the little tiny animals, and I had a lot of fun picking some favorite animals like tigers, which, you know, I always want to do for my son, but also some more unusual ones, and I've been letting people guess. There is a full list on the chart for this one of all of the animals, so if you're stumped, you can look at the key. The next one that is new is in the Language of Flowers series. This one is Language of Flowers Lupine, and I got the idea for this initially, I think over a year ago. I was watching a documentary about Mount St. Helens, which for people who are my age or older and certainly lived in the West, that was a day that we can often remember. I was living in Montana at the time, and I remember the strange snow that was actually the Mount St. Helens ash coming down. So I was watching this documentary about it, and they made a note that the very first of the alpine flowers to come back to that completely devastated area was a lupine. And lupine have traditionally been used to represent imagination, hope, new ideas, that sort of thing. So I thought it was particularly appropriate to put a Language of Flowers lupine in for a time when we could all use imagination, new ideas, and frankly, a bit of hope. So whether you like the high alpine lupine or a common garden lupine or a Texas bluebonnet, this is the one that works for you. Last of the new releases is one that came out in Punch Needle last year, and that's Seasons of the Heart Summer. I had a lot of fun designing this one, and you can see the little mouse with the watering can, little cat with the grapes, all the fun stuff going through that series. So it's another new release that's available in stores now, not just in the magazine, and I hope you enjoy it. Again, all the information about all of these is on the website, and they're available from your stores. Now, going on to the giveaways. Last video, the giveaway was this amazing, Blackbird Designs fabric. So a yard of that. Lots of fun. And the winner for that one, Cheryl March. So Cheryl, go ahead and get in touch with me. Send me your mailing address, and I will get that in the mail to you. As has been my habit for the giveaway this time, since I have 3 new releases, I'll pick 3 winners, and you can have any one of my charts that you like. The word that I'm going to have you use is animal, since one of them is Animal Alphabet. And just go ahead and put animal in your comments, and I look forward to hearing from you. No announcements this time. We've got puppy video at the end. This is a more condensed Flosstube than I had planned to do, since I had so many things accumulated to talk about, but I'm frankly running out of voice and energy, so I'll have to see you in 2 weeks, but I'm so glad that we did, in fact, get to chat today, despite all of the hurdles. I hope you have a lovely weekend, and I look forward to seeing you soon. Thank you. Bye.